Ni aje?
Niaje?
Fiti.
Pole bana, ndo nimeingia kwa house sasa tu.
Ndio umeingia kwao.
Nimeingia tu kwa house sasa.
Waxing.
Job. Kwa nimeshikana hata kwanza sikudhani kama nita make it on time, but ndo nimeingia tu sasa.
Okay, sawa, ina shida. So when tunataka tuanze nini? Tutaanza tu hiyo slow kwa tumesema. And then okay, in terms of kenda kumalizia uko na nini, uko na website nini yenye wase place wasane za buy vitu zako ama
Website bado ndo nawakia, but niko tu na hizo socials, Instagram, Twitter na Facebook.
Okay.
So far natumia tu hizo ku get orders, hizo ndo natumia.
Alafu apart from hiyo kuna kitu kingine tunataka wase wajue ama ni hiyo tu?
Nadhani ni hiyo kwa saizi. Hizo zingine bado ni tunajaribu kuwakia. So unless we go up and running, then kwa able kuzishare.
Okay, sawa basi.
Yeah.
Wacha tu basi ni share stream on FB. Alafu naweza anzia tu.
Kuna shida.
Lakini umekuwa ukitrain ama corona na kupeleka?
Hizi habari kitrade hivi itakuwa nadanganya. Mimi nimekuwa hustle za kando, time ya kutrain na train ya nini?
Yeah.
Once in a while unaweza fanya hizo workout during sports na sijakuwa consistent at all na TV yote.
So ati okay mimi nilikuwa nadhani nyinyi as KCB mko nini at least mna training ile once in a while.
Oje shida si hatutaki kutrain, shida ni sisi tuko na gava, ideally KCB bank ni gava.
Okay.
Unaona, na kama saa gava ndio nasema watu wasitrain social distancing and stuff. Oje sisi ndo the last team yenye unaweza expect kuwa allowed kutrain.
Okay, yeah.
So as much as tumetaka kutrain hatujakubaliwa, hata clubhouse hata gym ni hard to, unless uende ukimbie peke yako, ground haiko, unaweza kimbia hapo peke yako, but hamwezi kwa group kitrain.
Hata katach ama na gym
as in kitu yote yenye tawapata ile possible for us, so unless unaifanya kwingine, but si hapo kwa ground yetu. Hapo kwa ground yetu the most tunaweza fanya ni kwenda kukimbia for now.
For now
Yeah.
Sasa so umesema nini hustle ndio sasa ndio the main thing tu kabisa.
Yeah, hustle is the main thing. Ndio kwa maana hata unaona imegrow sasa.
Yeah, true.
Kwa sasa hiyo ndio imekuwa the main focus, hakuna kitu kingine yenye naikia energy yangu as such, if you hustle to kuboresha brand.
Okay, sawa basi. Si tunaweza anza tu sahihi and then sasa Okay. So ukituanzishia unaweza tuambia Ojee ulianza wapi ndani yako ya rugby?
Nilianza jani yangu ya rugby Kisumu RFC. Development definitely. Hakukuwa na structure za development per se, but nilikuwa naenda na bro kucheza rugby Kisumu RFC because he used to play there. So time alikuwa na train, nilikuwa natembea naye nikisha tizi just to accompany him, but so from hapo in the sidelines too kucheza na ball, being naive, sikuwa najua much about the game, but just being naive kucheza na watu wenye walikuwa hapo kando, hapo ndo vile nilipick interest. So I think nilikuwa around 12 years of age by then. So your interest ika grow to the more naenda na bro TV, the more naona game zao wakicheza, the more interest ina grow. So hapo ndo mali nilianzia, but the first maybe competitive game ilikuwa sasa vile nilijoin high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
At this point, okay, when you're starting, at this point you are in primary or you are in high school?
Hiyo bado nilikuwa primary, sikuwa nimeingia high school. Ilikuwa tu ile nilikuwa I think class 6 or 7 around there. So nikipeleka bro tizi, nilikuwa nakaa hapo nje nikimgoja definitely like train. But so najua hapo kuna na hizo balls ziko hapo kando na kuna watu pia walikuwa wanakaa hapo kando. So we just used to try and mimic ama copy kenye wana train kwa grao wanadu. Naona. So hapo tu ndo mali hivyo ndo nilianza, hivyo ndo the interest really crop up. So it took like a year or two. By the time nilikuwa na join high school, nilikuwa na hiyo pass, nilikuwa na understand a bit of the game because nilikuwa sasa naweza cheza touch even with the guys hapo club before tizi. So ile touch kidogo, ile tag whatever kind. Sasa hivyo ndo the interest really grow. By the time nilikuwa naingia high school, nilikuwa already najua game about the game, a bit about the game.
At high school sasa ulienda high school gani?
Nilienda Kadolotunga High School, Mosocho. Niko huko Kisii. Huko ndo sasa nilijoin form 1 in 06. Huko ndo nilianza sa rugby because nimekuwa nilianza training ama kucheza touch rugby earlier on as a young guy in primary. But by the time nilikuwa naingia high school nilikuwa najua game yenyewe. So it didn't take me long kuingia kwa team na kuanza kucheza because at form 1 tayari nilikuwa nishaingia kwa team na nilikuwa nishaanza kucheza rugby yenyewe.
Okay. So tuseme at high school level ni nini highlights zako zilikuwa gani tuseme at Kadolotunga?
High school level, definitely playing in Nyanza your time. Ilikuwa hard to beat Maseno na Yala. They were always the top 2.
Yeah.
They were always the top 2 teams in Nyanza. But Kadi ilikuwa tu hapo 3rd or 4th. Like for the duration nilikuwa high school, we were 3rd or 4th. The worst we ever came was number 3. But at form 1 year or 6, we actually made it to the nationals because tukipiga Yala year 2 or 6 to make it to the nationals. Hiyo ilikuwa like ili jumpstart career yangu ya rugby because nilikuwa chuo for less than a month. Na tayari nilikuwa kwa team na tayari nilikuwa naenda na show. Naona hiyo ni just at form 1. So hapo interest ilipick kabisa. From then ilikuwa tu always tulikuwa tunacheza, tulikuwa like the 3rd best team or the 4th because Yala and Maseno would always rank higher than us. Ama would always make it to the finals ama nationals before sisi. It's just a couple of years apart from me nikiwa form 1 kuna ingine yenye sisi Maseno the rules in national school ni county province back then yenye ilikuwa inashinda na show ilikuwa inapatiana 3 teams. So ilikuwa Yala Maseno ikishinda na show ulikuwa unapata seat naenda kama number 3 ama maybe tuna lose out because tulikuwa number 4. But the main highlight yangu in high school came while I was in form 4. Hiyo nikimake unakumbuka hizo Safari 7 school category?
Yeah.
Hizo sasa always team Nyanza ilikuwa Maseno na Yala like throughout. There was rarely a person from any other team mwenye alikuwa na make it up. Ilikuwa tu Yala, Maseno like year in year out. So while I was in form 4 in 09, sasa mimi nilikuwa ule msa wa kwanza kubreak your jinx. Kubreak your jinx ya Yala Maseno through and through. Tulikuwa a few guys. I think there was a guy also from Ambira na mwingine alikuwa Agorosare. Like tulibreak your jinx ya team Nyanza always kuwa na Yala ama Maseno. So hiyo ndio ilikuwa highlight of career yangu in high school because then tuliingia kati team Nyanza and we ended up getting to the finals ya hiyo Safari 7 high school category yenye ilikuwa ni we played Kakamega Western. Sasa we played Western and hapo ukiangalia kila mtu alikuwa kwa hizo teams ni kila mtu mwenye ameenda akacheza national team because Kakamega ilikuwa na Fabi, Aga, Agevi, Mugaisi, unaona hizo jina zote tulicheza nao in high school. So we ended up team Nyanza ilikuwa na mimi, the late Tonyo Nyango, Godi, Seje, unaona. Then Nairobi, which is the other strongest team, ilikuwa na Ambunya, unaona, Nyandigisi, Oyugi, hiyo crop. So as in highlight of my career ni coming from Kadolotunga yenye ideally haikuwa such a big powerhouse in rugby, but always in and around. Maybe in Nyanza ilikuwa top 4 ama top 3, but in the country per se hatukuwa such a huge name in rugby. So making it out from Kadolotunga, then in representing team Nyanza, alafu finally, because after hiyo Safari Sevens finals, hapo ndo nakumbuka under 19 ya hiyo year ilikuwa selected from the same tournament. Like hapo ndo vile ulifika hapo ukacheza, hapo ndo mali under 19 ya hiyo year pase kila mtu alikuwa in and around the semifinals. Hizo teams tatu nimekwambia made it to the under 19. Yeah.
So did you make it to the under 19?
I did, but nilikuwa Kisumu. Nilikuwa Kisumu, so singeweza make it kufika Nairobi. Kwanza hiyo time under 19 yetu nakumbuka tuli convene, waliita watu in a week, not even in a week, less than a week. Guys had like 3 or 4 days kufika Nairobi na kutoka kwenda game. I think ilikuwa Ivory Coast. So mimi one being that mzaya kukuwa a big fan of rugby. So kama kwa big fan of rugby tena nataka kumwambia tena kusponsor utoke tena uende Nairobi uende kucheza rugby, ilikuwa just a back and forth. So as much as nilipata hiyo nod kukuja kucheza for that year, actually ilikuwa under 18 na under 19 ilikuwa, I think, yeah, nilipata hiyo nod, but singeweza kama Nairobi because back then hatukuwa na easy options kama mmepatiwa place ya kudoze, see the shallow mama hizo camps, we didn't have that back then. At least in hiyo year yangu ilikuwa unafika, you had like 1 or 2 days to prepare, na the next day mnatoka mnaenda tour. So we see the strides zenye zimemekiwa in that sense imekuwa huge, because saizi under 19s and 18s can easily camp for even a month or 2 before a tournament, because saizi union maybe iko na hiyo uwezo ya maybe ku offer accommodation and offer hizo, as in the accommodation part and the facilities for the camp to take place for better preparations before the tournament. Yeah.
And unaweza pia speak about before tuende forward hiyo mental process yako, let's say playing at hiyo big stage, ni kitu uli actualize kutoka ukwe mtoi that I can unaweza breaking into big stage, ama mental yako ilikuwaje, let's say at that stage, let's say playing against those big teams?
I think mental yangu always personally nimekuwa mtu wa kuchase Kenya nataka. So as much as I was in an underdog school, I say as much as tulikuwa tunacheza second or third fiddle to the big boys, always tulikuwa tunaacha una ile mtu anasema you leave a mark anytime unacheza. So given that nimekwambia breaking the jinx hiyo ya another person from a different school making it to team kwanza, ilikuwa ni one. So always nilikuwa na strive to make your team, that's one. Then bro wangu mkubwa mwenye ndo introduce to rugby, yeye alikuwa ngole mse pia ana chase team zake, as in always alikuwa ametarget to make it to, alikuwa pioneer vitu mingi sana, hata pia in high school akikuwa like the first form 1 ama form 2 kuenda na show. Nakumbuka alikuwa Yala hiyo time, team ya Yala like akikuwa high school had the Lavins and the Teddy Omondis and stuff. So him being around the mix na making it, ilikuanga like anakuambia unaweza fanya game, as unaweza cheza game, so you just need to put in the work. So I think my mental strength ama my mental awareness time ilikuwa ni I have this goal and nataka to reach, so it just depends on how much work I put in and maybe na good luck pia. What's luck pia na mimi nikisho high school like usikuwa favored kucheza rugby at all, because mzaya kuwa fun, unaona. So as much as ningekuwa na prosper, maybe angekataa niende Itona ama angekataa niende nitoke chuo time fulani because exams and stuff. So I just had to work my way around it ama kuvuka hizo obstacles in order for me to play. So inamaanisha I had my focus on maybe trying and playing this game to the highest level. Maybe haikuwa in my mind that nitafika this far, but I always aimed for the next level. So kama nishacheza Safari Sevens na hawa say nisha meet akina Tony. Unajua akina Tony and the Seje and the Fabiz, ulikuwa unajua anaenda na show each and every year. So you know being in the mix, unacheza nao and then you're beating them in the process, and unapata like positive comments ama positive comments about how well you played and stuff. Ilikuwa nakupatia psyche you actually can do this thing, so you just need to keep on pushing. So I think hapo ndo mali mental attitude yangu ama awareness yangu ilikuwa at that point.
Okay, so tuseme ni your brother played a big role in let's say pia kumenza your shaping your career.
Definitely because me high school life yangu yote nimekuwa naitwa bro wa ule mse. Mimi nimeitwa Ojee after high school. I think maybe at form 4 saf, because nikiingia form 1 alikuwa anamaliza form 4. So kila mtu mwenye alimuona akicheza hiyo period alikuwa anasemanga tu bro wa Kesi, unaona. Nilikuwa naitwa bro wa Kesi. Unacheza unang'ara, kila mtu anasema umeona ule bro wa Kesi mwenye ako kadi, as sikuwa na jina then. So you see that as much as me personally nilichukua hiyo positively, because namaanisha then walikuwa na notice bro ule mse alikuwa mnoma, alikuwa ana come through. Unaona. Sasa hiyo ilikuwa inanipatianga tu psyche every single time. So beating that, alafu sasa kuanza kuitwa jina yangu. I think nimeanza kuitwa jina yangu either at the end of form 3 ama form 4. So that's when sasa unaweza sema ile crop yenye iliona bro akicheza ilikuwa imemaliza high school. You get? So crop yenye ilikuwa inaniona ni watu wenye tuliingia nao high school, so wanajua jina yangu. But before watu wajue jina yangu, kila mtu aliona bro wangu akicheza in high school alikuwa ananiitanga jina bro wangu. Okay. So amekuwa all along mpaka sasa hizi amekuwa huyo ndo ule mentor, because alikuwa mnoma high school. Mimi stories zote nimesikia alikuwa mnoma high school, na nimemuona because I went to a few high school games, nationals, provincials zenye alikuwa anacheza, au alikuwa anaweza nitumia fare kama uko provi naishia na show nilikuwa naishia. So ni mtu nimeona akicheza, ni mtu nime look up to like for tangu nianze career yangu mpaka sasa hivi, mpaka hiyo siku yenye ali retire from rugby kufuata vitu different, bado yeye amekuwa mentor wangu mpaka sasa hivi.
Now beyond now high school, sema hiyo transition now after high school ulienda straight back to Kisumu, or what was the transition now?
Kisumu nimecheza kabla bado niko high school.
Okay.
Nilianza kuchezea Kisumu, my first club game ilikuwa kaniko form 2. Kaniko form 2, so Kisumu RFC ilikuwa ESS game against Mombasa. Kwa tunaenda travel, nilikuwa ilitwaje hizi long term breaks, nilikuwa long term breaks so I was back home during the long term breaks. Now so jaka nilikuwa home, nilikuwa naenda kutrain Kisumu RFC always, kila time nilikuwa home, nilikuwa Kisumu RFC. So nilikuwa given that niligrow kwa hiyo familia ya Kisumu RFC na the setup, nilikuwa ni mtu na wananijua, because then bro alikuwa asha move from from Kisumu akakuja Nairobi, sasa acheza Mwamba, but akina nani bado alikuwa the late Sidindi. Sasa huyo ndo alikuwa like the biggest mentor wangu kwa Kisumu RFC, like cause yeye alikuwa class moja na bro wangu akiwa high school, so yeye alipick hiyo mantle ya kukua bro wangu vile bro alisonga kukuja Nairobi. Then kulikuwa na watu kina daddy Diko sana wa Kisumu, huyo amekuwa hapo through tangu nianze rugby. Hao watu wameni mentor through and through. The late Okwaro, as in, nilikuwa na hiyo foundation ya watu wenye walinisaidia kugrow. So me going to high school and coming back ilikuwa like a plus to the club, because then walikuwa na an extra player. Back then Kisumu RFC had the veterans, the Okwaros, Newman Opio, Fred Maube, what walikuwa. Then there was the young guys, the young guys sasa sisi tulikuwa tuna come through the ranks. So anytime we were around, we were always meant to play for the club. So my first game was in 2007, alikuwa form 2. Ilikuwa long term break, then we traveled to Mombasa for an ESS game. Hiyo game mwana ikumbuka mpaka saa hizi juu ya watu nilicheza nao tena hiyo game. Saa hizi most of them ni teammates wangu tena KCB. Was that alikuwa hapo Abeka Amro. So mimi ndo moved from Mombasa to Kisumu, akakuja alikuwa sasa imetoka Kisumu, like watu wote nimecheza nao at some point. And back then one of my favorite Kenya Sevens players back then alikuwa coach player Kisumu RFC, Oscar Osir. So ja tena mi niko form 2, niko kwa team anacheza na against Oscar Osir, unaona, as in hiyo ni ile moment yenye watu ulive for, unafikiria msee sasa mimi namuonanga tu kwa TV ama nimemuona kwa TV tu, then now unacheza against here, then we ended up winning that game. Hiyo ilikuwa like a moral booster ama mental boost for most of us young players. Tulikuwa maruki wengi sana kwa hiyo game, because most of the veterans couldn't travel, so team ilikuwa imejaza rookies wengi sana, and we won that game. Funny enough, a week later on the return leg, the veterans played sasa ilikuwa Kisumu and we lost the game again. So as given that tulikuwa maruki na tulitravel to Mombasa tukashinda, hiyo sasa ndo mali sasa niliweza kuona like sasa hii rugby tunaweza icheza. Hapo ndo mali cycle iliingia sasa kabisa, because now nilikuwa high school na during a mid-term break, a long-term break, nimechezea club, then we end up winning this game against all those big names. Yeah.
Okay. And now, okay, at Kisumu, highlights apart from hiyo zimekuwa gani so far, na pia apart from hizo gani pia zimeshape career yako in terms of games and also in terms of also, let's say, tournaments?
Kisumu ndo ideally, hiyo Kisumu ndo ilinimake ka player. Naweza sema KCB nimegrow ka player, nimekuwa smarter ka player, but Kisumu ndo ilinimake ka player ideally, because playing for Kisumu we never used to have anything. Kani fair, sasa zingine tulikuwa tuna hustle fair kuja just for tournaments in Nairobi. Kani league tulikuwa tu tunacheza na maji unakunywa kwa mtungi and stuff like that. Ilikuwa tu like an extension of high school, yeah. But unaweza sema sijui niite professional ama niita tu like rugby, club rugby. It's an extension of Kenya. Ilikuwa hata high school saa zingine we are being taken care of better, because mkitoka mkienda mahali shule lazima iwashughulikie hata kama ni nini mnapewa. In Kisumu some of the players like used to changa fair na kukam na an extra meal just to go around the whole team. So as a person and as a player, Kisumu ndo ilinimake. Hiyo ndo fact moja mimi wanajua nitalive nayo, because one alinimenta from a very young age coming into rugby. Everything rugby nililearn from hapo. Everything team culture nililearn from hapo hata before niende high school. Everything maybe leadership back then, because we had very very veteran players in the team, nilianza kuona hapo. So you see, growing up unaona vitu vingine as you grow, maybe haija click ama haija click kwa mind yako, but a few years later unaanza kuona impact ilikuwa nayo kwa game yako. So as being molded, ninasema ni Kisumu ilinimake. So game wise, Kisumu all along nikiingia Kisumu RFC, the story was about Gala Sevens ilikuwa imekuwa suspended for some few years, so we wanted it back to the club. And the reason it was even being considered kurudishwa in part of the series, because of the exciting young players who are currently coming up in the club. Unaona, because kulikuwa na a lot of high schoolers ama wenye wamaliza just immediately wamaliza high school, wanna come up during that period between, let's say, 07 to 09, because hapo ndo mali Kisumu ilikuwa na hiyo like rebuild or I'd call it that. So all along we were,
this is the team mama.
Yes, that's the team. Na hii ni team ya 2010 I think 2010 2010 because Keegan came in 2010, so ni 2010. That's the team. There's a few faces missing, kama Newman Opio. Newman alikuwa one of the biggest people wenye nishaicheza nao rugby sevens, and he was very efficient and very effective. Jina moja kubwa sana for watu waligrow rugby hiyo back then. So adhan tu ni Newman amekosa hapo. Godi pia yuko hapa, sija alikuwa wapi tona, but Godi Jatelo hapo. the rest of the guys came in later. Mtu kama Billy used to play akikuwa, Billy Odhiambo used to play akikuwa high school. So during the breaks to kama mimi before he moved to Nairobi. Someone else wanna miss up. Lamek Savea came in later. I think 2012. I think 2012. The Atur brothers pia in 2011, 2012. So apart from then, out of the veterans. Na ukiangalia kwa veterans, hata hapa I think Opuk, the brown guy hapo, like fourth from the right. Huyo alikuwa high school back then. He was still in high school. Yeah. So this is the best Kisumu Sevens team minus Newman. Minus Newman up here. Yeah, that's the team.
Ito na
So
ilikuwa nini?
Ini Christie Sevens. Ini Christie Sevens. Na hii season, I think we either finished 5th or 6th in the series, if I'm not wrong. Because tulikuwa tuna make almost plates zote. Almost plate finals zote za tournaments. Now, I think from this team, from after this year, tournament 2010, half of the team walikuwa na move to Nairobi or other clubs. Yeah. I think this is the best Kisumu Sevens team ishaikuwa. Yeah.
And at that point, hii bado uko Kisumu.
Hii sasa ndio game sijui kama ndio game nilikuwa na show ya Mombasa. Hii ndio hiyo game. Then nilikuwa high school. I was still in high school tukicheza hii game. Hii ndio hiyo game nilikuwa na show in 07. I was still in high school, yeah. Hiyo ndio hiyo game ya ESS against Mombasa.
Na mlikuwa pia na kina Owila hapo.
Owila pia ni those are the few guys wenye walianza Kisumu at a young age. So given that we come from the same neighborhood na tulikuwa tunacheza pamoja like in the high school games, provincials and stuff, we used to meet each other in the high school games, and then we used to stay in the same neighborhood na kina Owila. So always during the midterm or long term breaks tulikuwa pamoja kwa club tuna train. All of us. Ukiangalia hapo, very many of us studied in the same high school at the same time, ama we were in high school at the same time. Alafu tulikuwa tunaishi in the same neighborhood, like you just walk a few 100 meters na unafika kwa kina Wila ama kwa kina Manu ama kwa kina Daddy, like ilikuwa tu around the same area. Yeah, na Kisumu ni ndogo, so kila mtu anajua kila mtu.
So let's say now at umesema one of the key tournaments ilikuwa Christie,
Dallas Sevens, and Dallas Sevens we always brought down the house in Dallas Sevens, regardless. Yeah, okay, you see, playing in this era in Kisumu RFC, the teams to beat in the circuit ilikuwa ni the Strathmore. Unakumbuka hiyo team ya Strathmore ya 2010 hapo 2009, 2010 na 2011. Then kulikuwa na Kulabu. Kulabu ndo ilikuwa everything back then. Our watoto walikuwa wanacheza. Circuit ilikuwa between Strathmore, Queens and Mwamba. You see. Now we always met these people at some point in the tournament. And those games, if you pull up the results, they were never whitewashes. Ilikuwa very close games. Either a try and a converted try, or maybe 2 tries in the most. Unaona. Na ukiangalia most of the tournaments, we were always in and around the top 7 or top 8. Back then, hatukuwa na this kind of exposure yenye teams za saizi ziko nazo. You see the Oilers, the Moose, now watu wote like ilikuwa very rare kuna hiyo second conditioning and the coaching and stuff. Sisi tulikuwa tunajicoach wenyewe. In Kisumu mimi sikumbuki tukikuwa na coach mpaka very late before nitoke. We always self-coached. So kama ni Dick o sana anachukua session leo, ama kama ni Freddy atachukua session leo, ama kama ni Jada atachukua session, we were never coached. So it was a very huge achievement for Sisi, and we didn't even have sponsors back then. Nothing like sponsors. We barely made it to tournaments because Sisi tulikuwa na travel. Kama Tona iko Nairobi, Sato tuseme Christie Sevens, sisi tulikuwa na travel Friday usiku. Friday usiku tunaingia Nairobi Saturday 5 am na tunaenda Union direct Tulikuwa tunaenda Union, hatukuwa hata nayo ya kubook hiyo asubuhi room wapi. Kwa nenda Union direct, tunaingia hapo Toi, tunakula chapo na chai za 10 bob hivi, tunaingia Queens. Tunakaa kwa stands hadi 8 zenye tuona inaingia. So that's why I'm telling you, achievement yetu, yani getting to top 8 ama top 7 or top 6 in that era na hizo hardships ziko mob sana. By the way, ukiangalia teams za championship ama teams za huko chini, they go through the same thing, maybe mpaka saizi. But for us to go through the same thing alafu still achieve what we achieved during that season, that's why hizo points zilikuwa zina build kwa major points in character building for me, because then ilikuwa inamaanisha when sasa uko na hizi vitu zote, you will not have an excuse for not performing. You just need to focus on hizo hardships zote, bado umefurahi, au fikiria hata allowance natoka wapi ama nini, as in through that whole hardship we still manage to perform well. So what if nikikuwa nayo sasa ati na supportiwa in this kind of a manner, so ndafika wapi in rugby? So it was a very big point in character building kwangu hii season and that Kisumu era.
Okay. And at this stage ulicheza pia alongside kina Andrew ama ulitoka?
Andrew alitoka kama bado mimi ni development huko. That's unakumbuka nikiongea ja bro alicheza na Andrew Kisumu sasa. Kina bro alikuwa na Andrew Kisumu. That time I was still very young. Nilikuwa I think hiyo before high school. Andrew left before high school. Yeah, before, because Andrew alikuwa KCB around 05 ama 04. So I think I was still doing the ball boy work, hiyo kucheza hapo tag rugby na touch hapo understand. So I didn't play with Andrew. I think what tumecheza now from that generation ya Andrew ni the late Andrew Kwaro na Newman Opio, then the Fred Maobe. Na Kale balikuwa in and around Kisumu hii time. Kale mmoja tu wa Monks na Union alikuwa kwa hii team pia.
Okay.
Yeah.
And ulishinda at this point in Kisumu, ulishinda kikombe yote ama ni nini? Ni trophy
Kisumu
yenye ni highlight pia yako?
Kisumu highlight yangu haiwezi kuwa trophies per se, because we always got beat in the finals. Mostly played finals 7 series, I think 2. Then kuna 10th fulani pia tulienda, got 2010 or 2011. We also tulishindwa tena plate finals. Tulikuwa tunashinda, tunakuwa invited Uganda for the Ginger Nile Fund Rugby. Sijui kwa nini tena ilitoka. Hiyo tulikuwa tunashinda huko, ama we always came second. But my biggest achievement with Kisumu is actually qualifying for the Kenya Cup. Because hiyo ndio ilikuwa after tumecheza 7 mpaka sasa watu wamejua sisi ni team sumbua. Hivyo ndio naitanga hizi team ndogo ndogo zenye always zitakuwa tu zinasumbua team kubwa. After achieving that in the 7 series, target yetu ilikuwa ni actually the reason why most of us didn't even leave Kisumu mapema, because I think mimi nilitoka Kisumu either 2009 ikiisha ama 2010, because by then clubs za Nairobi zilikuwa wanakuambia kuja, but the reason we didn't leave Kisumu, hiyo crop yote, Sidindi, me, Owila, watu wote, we didn't leave because tulikuwa tunataka qualify kuingia Kenya Cup. And back then kuingia Kenya Cup haikuwa rahisi, because kulikuwa tu na Kenya Cup, then kuna ESS. ESS ilikuwa inamaanisha after umeshacheza hizo zone zenyu, bado unakuja Nairobi kupigana na Queens 2 na KCB 2 ndio ingie Kenya Cup. Unajua vizuri KCB 2 inakaaje ama Queens 2 back then ilikuwa inakaaje, because hii ndio period yenye Queens 2 ilikuwa inaenda unbeaten for 3 seasons again. So we got into the finals, I think 3 times against Homeboys. The first time wakasema they can't expand the Kenya Cup. Nakumbuka hiyo analogy. The second time tena we played the finals against Homeboys again. We lost to Homeboys, but tena wakasema bado hawezi expand league. Nakumbuka hiyo ndio time yenye the then incumbent chairman Mwangi Mude alikuwa na push for kitu ya rugby mashinani, so you need to expand the league. So the third time in the third time asking tukafika finals tena against Homeboys. Na si kufika finals tulikuwa tunapiga Queens 2 ama KCB 2. Those are like very major achievements because the first KCB 2 tulipiga ilikuwa na Mwanja ndani. Kucheza Queens 2 it had Makaka, the late Makaka, William Baka bado mimi nimejua Willy tukicheza naye ESS. Alikuwa ESS because back then I think Kenya Cup ilikuwa ni Omuka and alikuwa anacheza Kenya Cup. So you're making it to the Kenya Cup getting KCB Kisumu to Kenya Cup, you know, like my favorite memory, Kisumu, and it was like one of the biggest achievements. And then following it up na kumaliza top 8. Because tulimaliza top 8, we were never relegated in the first season in Kisumu. So after, because we made it to the Kenya Cup, so watu walikuwa like hatuwezi fika Kenya Cup then tutoke, unaona, we have to play for another one season to know what we are made of against these people. And we finished in, I think we were number 8, I think, in that season. And Enterprise Cup tena tukacheza that season, we got to the quarterfinals because we eliminated Nakuru. Tulipiga Nakuru, so we got to the semis, not quarterfinals. We got to the semis because tulipiga Nakuru. Then my final game was against Queens. My final game for KCB was against Queens in the semifinals of 2011 Enterprise Cup. Because nakumbuka walitushinda, then I moved to KCB. Na KCB ilikuwa finals against Queens. Na sikuwa eligible to play in the finals for KCB because I'd already represented Kisumu in the Enterprise Cup mpaka semis. So it was a very good year after we got promoted, finishing top 8 and getting to the Enterprise Cup semifinal.
Okay. So always, have you always umekuwa ukicheza nini? Umekuwa ukicheza wing ama umekuwa nini? You've been a natural wing all your life?
Hapana, because in high school mimi sikuwa icheza wing. In high school I was a fullback. It goes back to about being mentored by my brother. My brother was always a fullback. So mimi maisha yangu yote ilikuwa ni nataka kucheza rugby na nataka kuwa fullback. So in sevens nilikuwa center or prop. And then later on, you see, kama in Kisumu, the reason I started shifting back, kufika Kisumu, I was a fullback, but singeweza cheza fullback because our fullback back then was untouchable. We alikuwa Sidindi, the late Sidindi, who alikuwa to a very untouchable figure in the team. So huo ndo mtakadimenta kusukuma. I played center at some point, but hapo ndo nikasukuma to the flanks kwa kucheza wing. Still nilikuwa nacheza fullback most of the time. Fullback or wing, because Sidindi will also play as a number 9. So anytime alikuwa ameshift kwenda mbele, mimi nilikuwa na shift kurudi nyuma. But club rugby, I think Kisumu ndo nimeanza kucheza wing. But then after when I moved to KCB, I didn't move as a winger, I moved as a fullback again. So imekonga tu between fullback, center and wing. I finally mtu aliniambia like my best position out of the 3 was left winger, ilikuwa ni Jerome when he called me in for the Simbas in 2013. Huyo mtu niliitwa Simbas tena ka 15. I trained as a 15 for a very long time, but you see, I'm not the best of kickers. I'm not the best of territorial kickers. I prefer to run with the ball most of the time. And even back then I was even worse at the kicking game because sikuwa niko coach, nilikuwa too raw and naive. And also I wasn't the best in aerial balls. Unajua at the flank unaweza shika because maybe you have someone nyuma yako, like me always nimekuwa na Sidindi in my earlier days nyuma yangu. So you only needed to listen to Kenya alikuwa anasema na unashika ball because alikuwa na kudirect to every single place yenye ulikuwa unataka kushika ball. So at the national team under Jerome, huo ndo mtu alikuja aka notice, then akaanza kunifundisha like what I need to do, ama kuanza kunicoach through the things I need to do. But then akani shift to the wing because at KCB, my very first game I still played as a fullback. Throughout that first season yangu in KCB, I was a fullback. Then I will shift from fullback to wing nika shift to like every other place, kama ni club ama ni national team, I just shifted to the left wing, so I can maybe fill in for a fullback position or a center position, but saizi I'm just a winger. Yeah.
Okay. Na sasa unaweza tuambia hiyo collab ya KCB ilihapenaje? So hiyo process pia ilikuwaje for you to shift to hii new club, na how was the first year at KCB?
Always nilijua moving to Nairobi, I was only going to one place, KCB. Hii ni majorly because of Andrew. Because when we were playing as a unit in Kisumu and we were playing well and nini causing a buzz, Andrew si alikuwa akikuja na KCB hiyo time yote. Na wajua Andrew, like most Kisumu people, ukienda mahali wata Kisumu yuko wako, utatupata tu uko si wote. So alikuwa tu like hakuna mahali unaenda, there's no other club you're going to play for. Ukikuja Nairobi, the place you unaenda direct ni KCB. So I knew from the word go that kwenda KCB. So when I came to Nairobi, that was not a question ya naenda club gani, ilikuwa to direct to KCB. And getting there, nilipata kabado Howard Okwemba ndo coach, and Curtis, the current coach, was the assistant. That period nakwambia ya Enterprise Cup, I think in 2012. And given that nilikuwa wajua unaweza kuwa mnoma club ingine, but ukiingia club yenye umeingia saa hizo unatulia kidogo, cause alafu given that the jump was high, cause umetoka Kisumu ndio young prospect, unapiga kelele, but umeingia KCB, so lazima utulie for a minute. But sija kutulia yangu probably ilikuwa tu siongei mingi, but nacheza na train. So because I think I had that hunger now to, because nikikuja Nairobi I had one target, and nilikuwa nimejipatia miaka 2 pekee. Me personally nikikuja Nairobi I'd given myself 2 years, either na make it rugby ama na shift focus to something else. So unajua 2 years ilikuwa like I had to push it to ensure that either nime make it ama kama imekataa nimejua imekataa, so na shift focus to something else. So my very first year in KCB, it was a mixed bag, because nikiingia KCB kwanza nakumbuka sikuwa the favorite wa Curtis at all. Curtis didn't favor me in any position. Na Curtis ako hivyo. Curtis is it's very hard to convince Curtis kuchezesha. So sometimes unaweza lose up, ukilose up imeenda hivyo. If you keep on knocking, because Howard wanted to play me like immediately, but Curtis alikuwa like mtoto alitoka Kisumu kuja kuingia kwa team mara moja hivyo, mwache angangane atafute experience. But by then like kama kwa local circuit hiyo season ilikuwa second top try scorer. Only Njera alikuwa amenishinda na tries hiyo time for 2 years in a row, hata ikuwa 1 year, for 2 years in a row. So si kwangu si understand mbona mtu ataki nicheze, because the only thing I need is to guidance, coaching, na maybe kucheza at a better club. But kati kwa hivyo kuna kitu lazima apate kutoka kwako ndaone like you are ready. So I didn't play kwanza hiyo 7 circuit hiyo season nilikuwa bench like the whole time. I was always sikuwa nacheza at all. I think nilienda for 3 tournaments, one of which tulishinda, yenye ni Prince Lu tulishinda, na nilicheza the last 2 minutes of the final or something. But you see, you keep pushing 7 sikaisha, so at least ameona hiyo sasa ilipata Howard akukaa for long, nikiingia 2 or 3 months, then akatoka. So Curtis was now head coach. New season imeingia. New season KCB inaanzanga na flooding. All the rookies, all the new signings, all the bench players wanapatiwanga chance flooding. So flooding hiyo 2013 was my chance. Nikaanzishwa at fullback. Nikamwambia nikawa fullback. We ended up losing that game to Nondis, who are the eventual winners of the tournament. But hiyo game nili make mark yangu ile like imefika, I need to be selected. Like hiyo ndio ilikuwa statement yangu in the game, because I think I played well enough to convince the coach that naweza deserve chance. Because from hapo the fullback wa KCB wa time alikuwa Matthew Musita. na Matthew Musita bado alikuwa fullback national team. So you see, Fladi ndio nitumia tona ya kugauge players ama kupatiana chances. Nikaanza nikang'ara. Na Musita kurudi kwa club sasa, Kenya Cup ikianza, sija definitely ni Musita atakana kuwa anaanza at fullback. So ni mimi nipiga, but nakumbuka poa sana after that game nilikuwa na high hopes ya kucheza better, yani hakukuwa na kupatiwa chance, because then nilikuwa nime prove ama nimejaribu ku convince the coach ama the coaching staff that maybe I have something to offer. So I started the whole season at fullback. I started before every other person as a fullback the whole season. Na hiyo season nilikuwa hiyo period ya Nakuru. Hiyo period ndo Nakuru pia ilikuwa ina come through the ranks. So it was a mixed bag, because kuna games nilicheza poa, kuna games nilikuwa most against the big clubs or the big teams. Hiyo ilikuwa Nakuru Queens mostly back then. Ilikuwa na waiver Impala. Impala has always been a tough game for KCB. So hizo games zilikuwa like they're still 50-50 of whether home to ako sawa ama. But I remember at the tail end of the season, with injuries maybe now with fatigue back there, watu wengi hawakuwa na squad depth per se, alafu pia fitness and conditioning haikuwa at this level, and games were very many back then because kwa home and away na nini league ilikuwa almost 23-24 games always. Then kuna Fladi, kuna Enterprise na kuna Bamburi hapo katikati, kuna Chairman's tena ESS, as in season was very long, so you ended up getting a lot of playing time yenye maybe ungepata kama ingekuwa ni season short kasa hizi. So during the course of the season, I really convinced the coaching staff, because at the end of that season ndo niliitwa national team. At the camp the larger squad hiyo 40 ama 45 back there, hata vile alikata back to 35 bado nikabaki. So I think hiyo ndo malikari yangu ilianza saa ku take off kabisa, because after KCB finished third because Nakuru, I think Nakuru won in the finals against Strathmore, then tukapiga Mwamba in the third and fourth, so tukamaliza number 3. Hapo ndo walisa hii team mpya KCB ilianza kujel as we moved forward, alafu mimi nikapata my first call up. Alafu sasa hapo ndo career yangu ikaanza ku take off sasa.
Okay. So tukiangalia pia lese nini at KCB, was it 15th or 7th? Which one was your buy? Gani ndo ulikuwa na prefer ama gani ndo imekuwa game yako sana?
Always mimi nimekuwa a 7th player back then. I was always a 7th player because given that Kisumu kucheza 15th, kulikuwa na hizo, always kulikuwa na more physically strong teams, more teams with depth, more teams who are just tactically better. So as much as we gave them hard time in the field, 7 out of 10 times against the big sides, amkuwa mnaenda kutoka na any point. Naget. But in the shorter version now, tulikuwa na more chances ya kushinda hiyo game compared to the 15th. So tulikuwa tuna focus more on the 7th, starting from Kisumu. So I've always been a 7th player. Nimekuanga 7th player kitambo. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa like my go-to game every single time. Moving to KCB wasn't winning much in 15th. But in 7th, a few tournaments. One tournament here, Christie's hapa, Prince Lupale, all along the way. So najua hiyo ndio ilikuwa pia tournament yenye, as much as we were not winning the 15th, or we were not winning the Fladdies, or we were not winning the Enterprise Cup, KCB always had 7th trophies. So our focus, hata the focus of the club back then ilikuwa ni 7th. Na watu kasi tulikuwa tumependa kucheza 7th sana. So I think that's why I preferred 7th more back then. Because unaona, my first call up came in as 15th player, sindio? But my first international assignment for Kenya ilikuwa ni as a 7th player. Because then I think ni tu hivyo ndo vile Kenya iko 15th iko sawa, 7th iko sawa, but people are more inclined to push to the 7th side to get the opportunity than 15. Saizi vitu zina change. Mimi saizi nacheza zote, but 15 is more for me, understanding a game na everything. 15 is like a wholesome game, so I enjoy it more. But 7 pia napenda. Yeah.
Okay. And okay, mnaweza tuambia any kama highlights za nini hivi kama hii ya Kisumu. Hii ilikuwa Kisumu ama ilikuwa gani?
Hii ni Kisumu 2015. 2015 in Kisumu. Cause hii jazi ni ya kitambo. In 2015 Kisumu tulishinda hii tona. I think hapa nilisweep podium mzima. I got Moseti got the MVP. But nilikuwa top try scorer hapa na nikakuwa top point scorer kwa hii tournament. We beat Homeboys in the finals. Hii nilikuwa one of the best seven series in KCB imekuwa nayo, because this is one of the 3 tournaments that we won. Back then ilikuwa 5. So this is one of the tournaments that tulishinda. And ilikuwa poa sana, because I think it's the first tournament that I actually got to play fully back in Kisumu. Because nimekwambia nikikuja KCB, I used to go for tournaments for siku anacheza. 2013 nilikaa bench the whole time. I think cumulatively in the tournament nilicheza less than 10 minutes, because nilikuwa naingia to sub. I think finals ilikuwa Mwamba na some 2014 tulishinda, but we didn't win. 2014 nilicheza poa, but we didn't win. I don't think we won dollar in 2014, but 2015 we won dollar. Ilikuwa among the best tournaments tumecheza, kwa sababu we were in front of the home crowd being Kisumu. Then I got to play very well and we got to win the tournament. Ndio maana naikumbuka sana.
And let's say okay, was it nini hizo ilikuwa trophy za kwanza ama
trophy? I think hapana, 2014 nilikuwa nishakuwa top try scorer na top point scorer in 2014. But you see the difference between 2014 7 series na kwangu ni 2014. See, 2015 ni nilishinda na Nakuru. 2013 nilicheza poa. I even had the top point scorer, top try scorer in a tournament, hata in the whole series. But since 2013 I was still a rookie per se. Sikuwa na understand game. Ilikuwa kukimbia, as in just playing the rugby, ilikuwa tu sikuwa naicheza na a lot of understanding. The reason I talk about 2014 a lot ni kwa sababu hapo normally growth yangu ilikam. Growth yangu ilikam in 2014, because now you've won the series the previous year. Ushakuwa top try scorer ama top point scorer. So everyone is gunning for you. So si mbio peke yake, si kugonga watu hand off peke yake. You must try and evolve and create new ways and unaweza impact na game without you maybe scoring the try or without you being the main point of focus kwa team. But still, as much as I try to evolve na kufanya the same stuff, bado sikusahau the primary goal yenye ilikuwa ni mimi ndo ule msawa kutinga. Mimi ndo ule msawa ku make sure tunashinda hii game. Everyone does everything perfectly, but sasa mimi ndo lazima nifike nifunge ni malize game. But then again, the biggest part ilikuwa ni the previous year, as much as I'd won all the accolades, niliitwa national team, but I didn't even get to play the Safari Sevens. Nilichujwa camp tena, you get. So ilikuwa ni I still need to prove more. I need still to prove to the selectors or to whoever was in charge of the team ati naweza. So in 2014 ilikuja na pressure. Ushafanya hizi vitu ndio ulikuwa rookie, maybe ulibahatisha. Maybe ulikuwa unacheza na Andrew na Mwanja na so maybe ukabahatisha. So 2014 ilikuwa inakuja ile like I try and evolve or try and reinvent how you play the game, or try and show how many angles you can approach the game and how much you can impact the game as a player. That's why 2014 is one of my favorite seasons in a KCB jersey.
And umesema you had to change your way how you approach the game, how you unacheza. Okay, nini ilienda pia behind the scenes? Okay, ulishinda hizi this tournament, but unaweza tuelezea what was the hard work you did behind the scenes in terms of ndio ukuje ukaeka hizi aspects zote za game zako into now being a
Mm.
better player?
I think one, I've always struggled with watching maybe rugby games. Back then I used to struggle. Mi ni ule mtu ni kitambo nilikuwa naweza watch futa ama bake more than na watch rugby. So nikaanza hiyo one to start watching the game and to understand how people play. Hata kwa tona, just after when you're not playing, just watching the other teams and seeing what they're doing. Then hapo pia ndo Mali Curtis comes in. Because personally, me nimejua Curtis as one person, the coach, one person who reads the game, who knows how to read the game very well. So you see, every single time tulikuwa tunacheza game ama tutacheza tona, when you go back, you have to reflect on how you played the game and what happened. His insights were very key in making me understand how I could play better as a person and how we could play better as a team. Because he'd tell you, he game to approach hivi, what if we tried approaching it a different way? Wewe kwanza, then you as a team. That's one. Another thing is I started hitting the gym a lot. Because you see, after the call up in 2013, we used to hit the gym back at a club. But after the call up in 2013, when I got exposed to the national team setup and how people, the culture that guys had back, see, Kisumu gym ilikuwa rare and he had to pay to go use the gym that side. Then ukuja KCB, there was a gym there, but bado hujajua what impact ama how well you can play the game. So you've been called up, you've been exposed to the national team setup, you've seen how the big guns are operating. Tall, Kolo, Andrew, akina Shioya back then, Kopo, like kwa surrounding yao watu, akina Nyikuli, and you see how they operate and you start wondering, kwani wewe umekuwa ukifanya nini? Ndio mkuu kitinga madude na una score ma try, but level of work yenye watu wanaweka is not, you're not even near them. So you need to go and try and do better. So unaona hiyo exposure pekee, as much as I didn't get to play any game in 2013 for the national team, as much as sikuwa selected for any teams, national teams, hata in Safari Sevens, that exposure peke yake, the exposure, because hiyo kumbuka hata kulikuwa na camp ya Mike Friday ya watu 70, hiyo exposure peke yake ili change vile nilianza kuview game, vile ninaweza kuapproach game, because umefika umeona huu mtu wenyewe apigi watu bure, huu msee ashainingi bure, unaona. So I also picked that. And I think the last thing is I had a mentor. Hapo sasa Andrew ndo ana check in, because Andrew now became like, he was my mentor, but maybe after I got exposed, I started paying keen interest to Kenya Andrew anafanya, because mimi nimecheza Kenya Rugby for a while and I can only name a very few people who work as hard as Andrew works. Very, very few people. And I think hapo pia ili impact a lot in the way I approach the game onwards.
Okay. So let's say, because let's say there are guys, let's say when you wanna watch, yeah, let's say the young guys who are coming up. So you may mention some key things in terms of mentorship, in terms of also training, gym, etc. But pia as in naona pia kuna pattern pia, because tukiangalia wase wengi wenye wame succeed at the high level. You guys started rugby at a very young age. Ukiangalia hata Onyala, ukiangalia hata Ulindi, etc.
Yeah.
So starting rugby at a young age plays a big role apart from mentorship na hivi vitu vingine.
Definitely, because I think there's skills that I think there's rugby skills zenye ukifundisha a young, very tender or young age, zitabaki na for very long. Like the passing. The passing is one very easy or simple skill, but if you're not taught right from the beginning, very many elite players, very many good players play rugby at a very high level, but maybe since their first coaching are passing haikuwa the best ama kwanza at an early age, they struggle to pass. Not that they play very well even without that perfect pass. but saa hizi ukiangalia ligi yetu ama easy leagues za chini and how the kids are passing, we can't compete with those kids in passing the ball, unaona, because they've been coached at a very young age to pass the ball hivyo. Then hiyo ina come to the early development. Also watuka mimi strength and conditioning ni kitu nimekuja kujua very late in my rugby career. So unapata these kids nowadays are exposed to that at a very early age. So unapata they're faster because kuna hizo plyometrics and the speed development. Then kuna hizo speed test and speed coaching kind of stuff, acceleration, deceleration, that kind of stuff. No, kwa maana watu hiyo are even faster than us. Even at a younger age, you are not that fast. No, because they've had all this rugby may grow in Kenya for the last few years, 5-6 years, and our watoto wamekuwa exposed to a lot of early training, which makes them shine at a very early age. Back then, very few teenagers would make it to maybe national team setup. Unaweza hesabu Biko pale, maybe coach Curtis Alwatch, maybe they'll make it maybe from high school straight. Very few. Saizi, it's not even a question of how many can make it. Wanaweza make it what, because they are playing at that high level. The only thing they're lacking at this particular moment, and maybe watuka sit na washinda nao ni experience. But experience only comes once you are exposed to that situation na ukacheza na learn from it. But these kids are actually well trained and maybe even well coached, because even the lower sides, very lower sides of the league work on coaches, as we didn't have that opportunity ama that privilege back then. So I'd really say development rugby, it may change rugby in Kenya, it may growisha rugby in Kenya at a very fast rate, and the earlier the better strategy or plans that you put around that, itatupatia a continuity for the game, for the game in Kenya, in the all age grade setups up to the highest national team setups. Itapatia hiyo flow of players for a very long time, depending on how well we structure our development program. And hiyo tunaweza sema, because the kids are immensely talented, they're immensely coached, they're very well coached, I mean, and they're raring to go, because the rugby squeeze, it's just that if you are good, being given an opportunity. See, maybe kitambo yenye ilikuwa you have to be in this corner or that corner to have an opportunity. So I think it's more open to every single person.
Yeah. And maybe hata kuongezea to that, nimeona a bit of similarity in terms of exposure, in terms of exposure. So nikikulinganisha na mse kama this guy alikuwa Smurf, mwenye alikuwa majuu Smurf, at a young age alianza kucheza against in high school, alikuwa anacheza club rugby. So at that young age, was it in Form 2? At least at that level, there's against competition yenye iko greater than at
level yake.
Yeah, level yake. So by the time amemature, aliakaenda Masakua kwa anacheza against akicheza hizi timu kubwa, but anacheza walikuwa anacheza hizo timu kubwa hizo za Masaku. But unajua hiyo exposure at that level, let's say play against clubs at a young age, I think pia inasaidia pia kufanya wasee wa stand out. Hata Unyala alikuwa na
exactly.
Pia alicheza against clubs at high school level
at a very young age.
Yeah, same as Ulindi, same as Tabu pia.
Tabu, wengi hata Asati. Chukua mtu kaa Asati, amekuwa in age grade rugby since I don't know 9. Get. So by the time Asati anapanda through the age grade, Asati starts for KCB when he's still a teenager. Unaona? Your age grade system really works. We just need to get the right structures to make sure tuko na hiyo flow of players every single time for the bigger teams ama for for the national team setup every single time. So long as you have the right structure, Kenya ita lack players. Kenya is lack players. The only thing those players need is the right structure to help them mature to become better players for the senior sides.
Yeah, true. Na tukiongelea about senior side, uli break through to collab yako ya kwanza national team ilikuwa 15 or 7?
Sevens. Niliitwa 15s kwanza, nilikuwa na train na 15s, but I was just training, I wasn't playing, I was part of the larger squad. Ni tu decision yenye Jerome alimake that hawa watoto nataka kwa keep. I think it was me, Darwin, Oliech was in the setup too. Majei alikuwa in the setup. Like on Oliech na Majei were both in 7s and 15s kwanza pia. Then in 2014 now, when again after the nini winning all the 7s accolades and stuff, who called me up again. 2013 niliitwa na Toti the then coach, but I didn't get to. 2014 Paul Tua akaniita. And Paul Tua called me up at ilikuwa ni tournament, umeonyesha tournament ya Kisumu. That's when I made that's when I got my first call up, because after the tournament Paul Tua alikuja kwa tentator akaniambia nimekuona unacheza, I like the way you play, I'll see you in Nairobi the coming week. Hivyo tu. So that's as in alikuwa amenipatia heads up ya naenda kucheza, as in nimeona unacheza, I need you in the camp for training. So I got to the camp that year and nilicheza Safari Sevens hiyo mwaka. Team yetu tena ilitolewa wapi? Plate, tulishinda Plate. Yeah, Plate team yenye nilicheza. And then I got the same year after Safari Sevens series, I got my first tournament nod for the Gold Coast in 2014.
Na unaweza tuambia okay, hiyo nini ilikuwaje? You're the first call up to kwenda kucheza nini? Kwenda kwa Gold Coast ama hiyo feeling ilikuwaje na ilikupata pia ulikuwa hapo?
Your feeling ilikuwa poa. Ilikuwa, I usually say it had like mixed reactions tena, because I remember the team was on strike again. Kenya Sevens was on strike. So guys on training. Guys mostly senior players hawakuwa na train. But I remember them telling us like the young guys, you just got and called up, make sure unaenda training kila siku. Hii vita ingine, we'll just sort it out and we'll join you guys in the camp. So as much as we used to train together, most of the times walikuwa wengine anakosa kuja training, but then you go to training together. But by the time the team reconvened together to play, some of the guys were on strike, or some of the senior players were not maybe readily available to travel, because maybe of fitness, because maybe I could make to selection or something like that. So we made the team to travel, but team ilikuwa pia na rookies wengi. I think we were 6 or 7, because I was a rookie. Aga Bush was a rookie. Olishe was a rookie. Muga alikuwa rookie ya tournament kweli. Muga was a rookie, yeah. Na kuna Max. Si Max Theory, no. Na sawa mtu mmoja, we were either 6 or 7, all rookies. Owila
ama hii kwa hiyo
Owila kwa hiyo. Owila kwa hiyo. It was the next one, because the tall man you had there was Olishe. So people like Andrew Scooter hakuwa na tournaments mob, alikuwa ameanza tu, but alikuwa alikuwa the only senior players around. So it was a mixed feeling, because mixed kind of emotions, kind of tournament or two, because one, nilikuwa nimefika sana national team and finally worked hard enough to earn a nod to train or to play with the national team. But sasa nilikuwa nataka kucheza nao idols wangu sasa, the Kolo, the Tall, but they were not available to play. But again, I was very happy that I'd actually worked to earn your position, your call up. So as much as I was disappointed I was not going to play my first tournament with this idols, legends that I'd looked up upon, I'd looked upon career coming up as a young player. Nilikuwa nimefurahi that it's now, like, maybe it's my chance to go and showcase what what I am as a player, what I have to offer as a player. So ilikuwa a very 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 emotional tournament in both ways.
And hii tona ulitinga ama ilikuwa
Eh.
ulikuwa pia na
Nilitinga.
kama hii ilikuwa last year. Unaweza
Hii
tuambia?
nilitinga. Kwanza nilitinga dakika ya pili, I think, because we were playing against hii picha inaonyesha hapo, it's against American Samoa. American Samoa were the 16th team, walikuwa wamekuwa invited for the Gold Coast tournament. So our first game was against them, and I scored I think in the first possession, the first like 2 minutes. The game ilisha 40 something nil. So nili score, all the rookies agalitinga hii game, like we really had a field game in this tournament. Na hii tournament ilikuwa big maybe step towards career yetu as rookies in the tournament, because we are 6, and in the 6 rookies almost 4 are starting. So inamaanisha only 3 or 4 per game were senior players. And then we had a mixed tournament because tulishinda hii game. Then our next game was against the game when ilikuwa enda to determine how the series was going to go was against Wales. That we lose your game with ideally less than 20 seconds in the clock. Less than tulikuwa kwa try side that the other side of the try, but wakashinda ball wakakick na wakaenda wakascore. So usually people wait in different ways. If we'd won that game, tungekuwa quarterfinals. Then tungekuwa quarterfinals, ingekuwa like rookies wameenda tournament wakafika quarterfinals, their very first tournament wakafika quarterfinals. Now since we lost it, we ended up going to the ball. Alafu we ended up playing very poorly in the ball tournament. So ilikuwa like we showed what we were able to offer, given better maybe or what we were able to offer kenye tulikuwa tumeenda kujishowcase as rookies ama as a team, a very young team. Same na hii team yetu ya last year. Unaona hawa wenye ni captain the previous season. There were tournaments that tulikuwa tunacheza Super Rugby, then tournaments that we really underperformed. So it depended on what you wanted to pick out. You wanted to pick out a team with potential that just needed time to grow, ama you wanted to pick out a team of rookies who are not ready to play in the series. So hizo ndo zilikuwa like the only two ways. There was no in between yenye tulikuwa tumepewa. Ilikuwa ni either hii ni team ya rookies yenye iko na potential, they should be given time to grow and maybe opportunities to try and gel together and play better, or team ya rookies yenye iko ready to play and they needed more time before they actually give an opportunity to go and play. So it was kind of a mixed bag in the tournament, but we really had fun. Hiyo ni kitu moja niko very sure about, because kulikuwa na hiyo big stage shock. Kulikuwa na hizo big moments ya big runs, umetinga watu wamekugotea because it's your first try. Kulikuwa na hizo near losses kama hiyo ya Wales yenye ilikuonyesha hiyo level ya rugby hawezi snooze hata for 10 seconds, because we actually lost the game with almost 10 seconds. Like it got eye opener. So as much as you come back with a very poor results, as a player you've actually grown, because then in the next tournament you want to do more and you want to do more. Na kitu kama hiyo ndio kitu ilifanya watu kama mimi tumekuwa tukichukua hizo challenges every single time, because unaenda, you have a good tournament, you still have to prove it the next time. Unaenda, you have a poor tournament, you have to grow and correct your mistakes and again pick it up in the next tournament. So it's very hard when you're playing in the high level, because you will always have the critics, you'll always have the fans, but wote they want the best thing for the team. So we lazima tu kwetu hapo katikati to make sure una achieve in both ends.
So at your stage, after your international nini yako ya kwanza, exposure yako ya kwanza, game, kuna kitu ili change kwa game yako, ama ili change mental wise, physical wise,
approach? Team yetu in that pool we had American Samoa, we had Wales and we had South Africa. Hizi games tatu zote zilinipatia a different aspect of a game and opened my eyes in different ways. One, we whitewashed American Samoa. You get. So kulikuwa nayo kitu ya sisi ni rookies, hatujakuwa kwa hii stage, but kuna teams zetu tunaweza tandika kwa itona. Haijalishi au ni national team ya wapi. Sisi tumetoka tu mali tumetoka, hawatujui majina apart from a few people, but you are coming here and beating a team 45-0. 45 or 42-0. Whitewash. Inamaanisha you actually have something that you can offer. You just need time to grow and maybe to be a better player. 2, Wales ilikuwa sana hiyo team ya wazee. Hao wamekuwa kwa series for a while. They're not an invitational side kama American Samoa. But we played them to the wire. We actually lost the game. Ni sisi tuliuza game because in the last possession, if we had hapo unasikia experience inaingia. If you had the calmness of mind to just keep the ball for 10 more seconds, or just waste the time for 10 more seconds. If you had the again the calmness of mind to try and defend for the last 10 seconds of the game, then tungeshinda your game. So hapo learn. You snooze, you lose. Like they're very near misses ama near losses zenye zinasticking kwa kichwa yako, because you know if you'd had made a different decision for just 10 seconds, then ungeshinda game. So hiyo ilifundisha hiyo tena, like you just need to always have the calmness of mind ukicheza regardless of what position you are and what time yenye kwa clock. Then the third game ilikuwa against South Africa. How walitupiga, how hata kubahatisha, how walitandika from minute 1 hadi mwisho, and hiyo series that season ni SA ilishinda. That's when Vanakoko alikuwa sasa anakam in sasa. Koga Smith was at the peak of his superpowers. Senatla was untouchable. Frankie Horn, as in hiyo game ilinionyesha how far I am as a person in rugby. Because I remember I did not make any one right decision kwa hiyo game. Sijika ilikuwa ni tension ama ilikuwa ni nini, but I might say we struggled as a team, but nitasema for me as a person, I really struggled during the whole game.
Yeah.
Sikuwa na shika ball, as in it was just, you might say South Africa were very superior side, but at the same time utasema wali manage kuingia kichwa yangu na kichwa yetu ka team. So it really showed you ndio make it call up, make it team, but you're very far away from maybe being to the same level as your competition in that tournament. So these are 3 things to only pick from the three teams that tulikuwa nao kwa pool.
And now tukirudi back 15th we managed to ingia into 15th at what stage now?
15th I took 2 years. 2 years. Na kwa maana nakwambia nowadays it's easy because there's maybe a structure, or maybe kids are just good, wholesomely good, or coaching has just gone up. Because me nilichukua 2 years to make cup yangu ya kwanza in 15th, na nilikuwa kwa hiyo team for the whole 2 years. I sat in the bench for 80 minutes for 4 games. Even in the last game, I remember telling the coach tena sasa haiwezi. Sisi kwa naenda ku warm up nikirudi kukaa chini na warm up nikirudi kila chini. And the one thing I said about Curtis, about being very stingy with playing time, kama haja kutrust, but the same thing nitasema na Jerome. Jerome really takes time before, or he took time before he gave you playing time. But once he gave you playing time, then hakuwa na option nyingine. Ilikuwa ni wewe unacheza na haja kupatia option nyingine ati in case umemess up kuna mse mwingine, hapana. Uko ready. You get. He made you hungry for the game such that by the time anakupatia opportunity, you are ready to play. Because me, when I got my first call up, yani my first test match in the 15 setup, siku nemiwa sababu na tuliambiwa hiyo. The whole back 3 ilikuwa changed. Mimi, Darwin na Oliech. There was no veteran hapo, there was no experience. Ilikuwa ni umekaa hapa sana, you are ready. Tumefanya drill zote, tumepigwa na bag zote, everything tumekuwa training. Kila game tulikuwa punching bags huko kwa zao, watu wana prepare, nyinyi mko tu kwa setup. But some time yenyu. So coach alituambia ni time yenyu, we decide unafanya na hiyo opportunity. Because whatever happens in the game, hakuna sub. Because hakutunaimia sub. Alisema uko hapo ndani against Spain. Portugal. Portugal, against Portugal ndo game 1. Uko hapo ndani for 80 minutes. Kama unataka kuuza for the 80 minutes. Kama unataka kushine for the 80 minutes, but hakuna sub. So when decide unataka kufanya nini na hii game, hiyo ndo pressure tulekewa sisi kama back 3. And I see this how your game, because hiyo ndo one of the best games mimi nishaicheza kwa hiyo national team jersey, cutting across 7s and 15s. That's one of the best games nishaicheza, and that's one of the best teams I've ever been part of. Ever. KCB, Kisumu, whatever. 2015, 2016, actually 2014 hadi 2017, 2016 Simba sijai kuwa na under a better setup personally, because the journey started back in 2013 when I got the call up, but honestly 2 years before nicheze kwa hiyo team. So I'd created bonds kwa hii team, I'd created friendships, I'd created competition in the team, as in by the time we were playing, ukiangalia hata in the record, there's no better team in the Simba setup tangu before we had kushinda hiyo team. That's the number 22 team yenye ilifika number 22 in the rankings. That's a team that beat Portugal, Spain, Hong Kong mara sijui 3 hapa Nairobi, came close to Germany. Unaona hiyo team yenye by the time, as in, it was just the best team. We rarely lost a game, and if you lost a game, that was the only downside yenye ilikuwa ni Namibia in 2015. But that Namibian side was going to the World Cup in 2015. Hiyo ndo I think the best Namibian side nishaicheza nayo, and it's among the hardest games nishaicheza tena in my life, hiyo Namibia versus Simbas in 2015, because walikuwa na revenge hiyo loss yao yenye tuliwapiga in the qualifiers in the previous year. You get? So I think my rookie season with the Simbas was the best my rugby career, the best. It didn't come with trophies, it didn't come with anything, but it just came with a sense of, I think, belonging kwangu, because finally I got the chance to play, and I played well, and the team played well, exceptionally well. So I think if you rank highlights za career yangu national team, I think your rookie season ranks highest, because you see, I told you nikwambia tena, after the rookie season expectations inapanda, pressure inapanda, and we still maintained the same aggro and the same winning streak to the next year. And vile team iliisha, we start growing another team, always team itaendelea, but I think that's the highlight of my career with the Simba.
And tukiongelea pia highlight ya hii career yako at 15th level, unaweza tuambia pia hii tone yenye mlienda Hong Kong, hii yenye
hiyo tona, hii tona, hii exposure, I think this was among the best tournaments ama pre-qualifiers tournaments in Kenya Simba zimeenda. We always went to SA, played a few friendlies before the season ama before a qualifying year, but hii ilikuwa one of the best tournaments, given that we are preparing next year's rugby qualifiers. This sasa ni 20 qualifiers, ilikuwa 2018. Yeah, 2018. So hii ilikuwa team ya Jerome named the team, ama the reason for the tournament was for us to go play against these top sides. Hong Kong ilikuwa ina grow, so Hong Kong always wanted to be on the what napiga Hong Kong daily. Actually Hong Kong stole our blueprint, rugby blueprint, because tukicheza na Hong Kong hii tournament walitupiga na kila kitu yenye sisi hufanya, like every single thing, move, line speed, whatever si hufanya, even the moves walikuwa wanaziita jina zetu ideally. So the 3 or 4 times tunapiga earlier, they picked those same things to go and beat us.
Niaje?
Pole. Nienda offline cats.
Okay, sawa.
Nilikuwa nasema I was saying ilikuwa ni one of the tournaments zenye we were preparing for the World Cup qualifiers, but in case hatunge make it then repechage tulikuwa tunaenda meet the same teams. I think Russia got some ban. I think ndio maana hawakuenda repechage. Then Chile walilose hiyo side yao. So I think experience kwa hii tournament is I think every now and again before any qualifiers ama any Simba season, I think we should always be going this route because this route can expose watu a lot. And when you come back from such kind of tournaments, you don't come back the same kind of player who left before the tournament because you pick up very many variables as a game because you're playing against top highly ranked teams in the world. So even when you come back, you end up being a better player. You end up being a better team who because you're exposed enough to different playing against Eugene is sawa, but mmeshazoea kuwapiga. Playing against the African sides, very few African sides zinaweza tupiga in rugby. You might even unaweza sema tu maybe ni Namibia and Zimbabwe on a good day, unaona. But this competition, we ended up getting beaten in all the games, but we ended up learning more than even getting the victories from the tournament. So I think it's something that I think the union should always have this in the rugby calendar because the only way to grow game yetu other than playing the local teams up around.
So unasema tunafaa tuzoe kichapo.
Tunafaa kuzoea kichapo. There's no way around it. You have 4 years before a World Cup ama 3 years to prepare for a World Cup. Unaweza chapwa tu for the 3 years, but in the 5th year you should be ready to play. I think because sisi apart from the other tournament in it ilitufanya tukakuwa ready for a tournament in the Vodacom Cup tournament in SA. You see, hiyo ndo kwa maana tulipiga Namibia in the qualifiers. Yes, we lost against Zimbabwe. Maybe ilikuwa ni a mistake on our part. But you see the reason why we went to Vodacom Cup, to lose every single game apart from one. But we came back a better team. We came back a stronger team. And tulikuwa tuko above all competition. Unaona? From this tournament, I'd say the same thing. But what happened after the tournament, though, ili change the whole course of the team. Because after each tournament, again the team will change. Ilikaa yote. So the essence of the tournament, ama the reason why we went to the tournament, I could say per se, because now the team that went out is not the same team that played the next year.
So nasema okay, for us to perform tunafaa kuwe na exposure. Na hiyo ni one of the key things. What other things do you think Simba tunafaa tufanye ili sasa tukikaribia pia World Cup ingine tukwe sure tuna qualify ama tukwe sure lese tunapuliwa na MZ nini moja pool moja?
I think for me kila kitu is just about preparation. Because you see you have to work with Kenya tuko nayo. So far Kenya tuko nayo ni hiyo facility tuko nayo. We can make plans to have better ones. Hiyo ni kitu tunajua we can do. We can make plans to have better facilities, better equipment to train, better everything. Tumeshakuwa hata na technical bench zenye ni poa before. So hiyo ni kitu tunajua tuko nayo. The only thing enye mimi najua wewe na wewe ni our preparation. Simbas have never had a full season. The only times we've had a full preparation before a season, ama pre-season, a full pre-season, we've always achieved. We've always played well. But unaona kama mja prepare vizuri then hakuna you won't have the gas, maybe naweza tumia word, to go through and through. Because this year would have been the perfect year to prepare for next year's qualifiers. Saizi corona hit. Hiyo no one's fault. But what are the plans after tumeanza training? Because qualifiers haita move next year. Lazima itakuwa tu hapo. Unaona? Qualifiers itakuwa hapo bado. again Olympics itachezwa tu bado next year. It was pushed from this year. Olympics itachezwa bado next year. As in rugby sevens qualifiers itakuwa tu bado next year. So I think our prep towards that ndo kenye at times personally I feel it's lacking and we can improve on, because facilities zetu tumekuwa world beaters with the same facilities. Again, but going to such tournaments you get exposed to better facilities, you get exposed to better environments, to better teams, better players. Sa hiyo ndo part of preparation yangu, like you just train. Nowadays before a pre-season I think it's a month is not enough to prepare for anything. Kenya Cup mzima before ufike finals you played almost 19 games. That's all preparation towards you getting to the finals ya Kenya Cup. See, sasa enda qualifiers zenye ni games 3 ama sijui 4 against Uganda, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and the only friendly we played is maybe an Elgon Cup. You get, then prep yetu ina lack hapo, and then saizi given that we integrating more young players into the setup, these players need exposure. They need exposure only comes with playing this kind of games, being in this kind of camps, doing that kind of high performance training. So your prep part too ndo mali si lack kidogo, and I think to improve on that then tutakuwa ready for the next qualifiers.
Okay. And at Simba's level ni cup gani zimekuwa memorable for you? Na kikombe
zetu si the same tu, ni Elgon Cup juu tangu niingie huko mimi Elgon Cup yote yeye nimeshinda zote, hata nikikuwa Kenya we still won the Elgon Cup. So per se Simba, because the one trophy I'd have wanted to win ni the African Cup, and the only time during this period yenye nimekuwa that we won the African Cup I was not in the team, so mimi sikuishinda. Kenya won it but mimi I think it was 2013 kucheza mwaka, so mimi sikushinda trophy. And the other trophy ni gani really? Sini hii Victoria Cup hii yetu na kina Zimbabwe. Last year we came up short because of the loss to Uganda. Hiyo ndo Kenya turusha nje, the loss to Uganda in Kisumu. Sikucheza hiyo but I was part of the team. So after we lost to Zimbabwe in Bulawayo, us beating Zimbabwe hapa inge even out kila kitu because we are ahead in aggregate, but we lost to Uganda in Kisumu, so we didn't even get to win the Victoria Cup. But the cups that are very memorable to me, one your Elgon Cup zote. Elgon Cups are always fun, more so when you win them in Uganda, not in Nairobi. In Nairobi it's kishinda UG, it's always the best feeling. Then my very first cup again, my very first season, hiyo ni game against Portugal and Spain. I think that marks some of the most memorable games nimecheza. I was still very young, but nadhani the best games nimecheza. Then that tournament in Hong Kong, because I think that's when we realized that we had a chance to actually qualify for the coming World Cup, but kenye ili happen after hapo ndo ilikuwa the downside of the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay. And then I think unaweza tupeleka tu nini lastly huku kwa inaitwaje, last year captaining now the seventh team, unaweza tuambia this year how was hii year ilikuwaje, and how did you guys also approach this year considering all the pressures, all the ilikuwa ya mafans pia walikuwa na pressure na nini? Unaweza tu hii experience ya that season.
I think the name hii season me wanaichukua, I think it's one of the most challenging seasons nimecheza in the national team colors. But again, I usually pick it as one of my best years in the national team colors, because then unaweza sema when I was team and stuff, the to make it to the cup, even though like would be an achievement. No. If I'm playing with those guys, like you have to be at the best of your game, you're on the target. But when I got called up for this team, target yetu ilikuwa ni make sure you're not relegated. Like hiyo ndo challenge. Tayari tuko huko chini, tunachezea tu hapo -3, -2 na hao wase huko chini. So our main goal for the season was actually not to get relegated. So having managed to do that, hiyo ilikuwa plus for us in the whole season. But my biggest takeaway from this tournament, and I think hata me personally nikaanza kuangalia game in a different perspective, ni how watoto nilicheza nao. Actually ni challenge in a way yenye sikuwahi dhani nitakuwa challenge na younger players, because I always got used to get challenged na either peers wangu ama players wenye wako juu yangu ama wameachieve more. But hata hiyo walini challenge the whole season, because even in the days that nilifikiria sasa tumeshikana tu kabisa, one of them would come up with something special in the locker, and we ended up kalikuwa tukule 1 point tunakula 3, umeget, kalikuwa tukule 3 we come up with 5. And you see that belief and that drive to actually achieve something in the season, ama for the kids, they had the drive to achieve something for themselves, hata kama saikuwa for a bigger goal, kama sijui kushinda nini ama kuingia quarters ama nini, to make sure while they were playing. And then two, on this very huge platform with all the pressure coming down on them to achieve something or to show the world what they were made of. Now that's one thing I'll tell you for free, they achieved. Out hii walicheza yao yote. Even in their worst days, in their worst games, they'd actually outplayed most of us veterans in the tournaments. In their worst games, they still gave 100%. Because tulikuwa tunataka kwa tona tumepigwa 40, unaingia kwa changing room, wao umekasirika, umeangalia chini, hao bado wanasema tu ni sawa, tunaenda kwa the next game. So that's why I'm telling you, these kids challenged me in such a way yenye mi sikuwahi dhani hao watoi wataini challenge hivyo. Like they took up the responsibility, they took up the challenge, na wakadecide come what may, results zikuwe mbaya leo, zikuwe mbaya kesho, at the end of the day, at the end of the tournament, hatutakuwa relegated. And I think they achieved that, and in so doing, they even made a name for themselves and put themselves in a platform whereby the only thing for them is growth. And I think that was just an amazing thing to be part of.
So do you say that year ulikuwa na a different perspective of looking at losing?
No one gave us kila mtu anajua. No one gave us a chance. Hata nikienda hiyo tournament ya kwanza ilikuwa Hamilton and Sydney. From that pool, no one gave us a chance. The mere fact that tulienda tukamaliza na sijui tuliingia ball finals, the mere fact that tulifika huko watu walishtuka. Mpaka niko like, kwani mlikuwa mnataka tuende wapi? Because you see, no one gave us a chance to even get a point. 1 point is constant. No one gave us a chance to even beat a team like Argentina. No one gave us a chance to beat a team like France. But you see, hizo hizo chances tulikuwa tunachukua, and unapigwa game moja na Tonga yenye hata sisi tulikuwa tunaangalia tunasema hatuwezi lose to Tonga, unaget, because si ni core side as much as ni kila mtu hapa ni experience apart from one or two people. Now one or two people when mimi and say CP and stuff, we were not in the setup for such a long time. The mere fact that bado si ni a core side na si ni Kenya Sevens, then you can't lose some games. But you see losing to Tonga inakuambia you need to wake up. You need to wake up and start playing. Then you go and beat France. France ilikuwa ni a semi-final team that year. Then you go and beat Argentina. Ilikuwa semi-final team that year, like every single time. So either the small bits you na pick and ilikuwa na kushow experience only comes with that kind of exposure. Hautapata experience na local circuit pekee. It will make you hard, it will make you very determined. Local circuit itakufanya kuwa na drive ya kupush next level, but sasa wako hapa in the next level stage, Kinonyala, kina Tabu. So sasa nini unapatiana at that stage? The only thing you can pick from that stage is you getting exposed to it, wewe kupigwa, then we're moving on from that. Because if you get Onyala from that season, alafu uchukue Onyala wa hii season, is a very different player. Not different per se, but he's grown. He's still doing the things he was doing as a rookie, lakini sasa anaifanya na growth. Like unaona kuna kitu amelearn, kuna kitu anafanya different. Like he has even this confidence in him. Kwa sasa ameshaifanya for a while. Ashaifanya kwa a whole season with maybe 15 games in it or 20 games in. As in, hizo ndio vitu nilikuwa naongea about exposure. That's the only way we get to learn. I'm not saying that we have to be losing even though to shin the game, but if you can find a way to strike a balance whereby people are getting exposed, guys are learning, and at the same time we are achieving goals zetu as a team and performing at the highest level, then I think that would be the best thing for the team. Na saizi malituko, we have all the veteran players around, and we have all the up and coming players around. So the only thing that is needed to hinder grow ama kukua great as a team is just maybe our execution of whatever we want to do.
Okay, and speaking also about growth, tuko na nini veteran players. Let's say this season yenye let's say ilikuwa interrupted. We had the senior guys coming back to the team, and but in terms of performance, semi against the big team, it isn't, let's say, at par as before. Ni nini una think inafaa to change ama nini inafaa happen ndio to perform ili kubit matimu kama SA, matimu kama NZ, ili yani consistency kubit hizo team kubwa?
Hiyo wadi ya mwisho tu ndo I think that's the only challenge we have, consistency. Because your team he interrupted season, we had very highs and at the same time we have very, very bad lows. So I think we managed to, in some tournaments and some games, strike a balance whereby we had the experience and the youth coming through na team in a gel poa. And then we had games whereby nothing clicked and tulicheza vibaya sana, which we all owned up to na tunajua. We were trying to make it a better series kuendelea before it was interrupted, so hatuwezi jua nini ingefanyika going forward, but I think we were working very hard towards trying to get the right momentum moving forward, because the only thing ilikuwa na derail for the season ilikuwa interrupted is the consistency, because ukisema SA we beat them very convincingly in a tournament, more so with a lot of inexperience in it, not as in a lot of the youth inside. And kuna tournaments zenye pia wame scrap a win with a try or a conversion at the time. So that's very good competition because we were really competing with them at a higher level. I think the only time SA season ametupiga vibaya is maybe one game or one tournament, because most of the games were very close or very close calls, a converted try or a conversion. And against even the bigger sides, the Fiji and the stuff, haijakuwa whitewash. But kuna some games zenye we'd say they're not small teams, but there's a games that we feel even as a team we should have won, but we didn't. So I think the consistency in performance tume struggle nayo, but we already played 4 tournaments with a mix of the senior guys and the guys coming. Ilikuwa ni 4 ama 6. We played 6.
Yeah.
And kulikuwa na different combinations that were being tried out. There was different team selections because nakuwa tried out. I think we were just going to get consistent at some point. We were struggling. We were trying to work towards that. And say anything before Apple, because now we just have to see what happens in the next tournament or in the next time we are going out again. Because if you pick the qualifiers, that was a super tournament. If you pick Dubai, for me, if you pick Dubai and Cape Town, those are very good tournaments we played. Our lowest, the poorest tournaments tumecheza, because Nini was a mixed bag. Australia and Sydney and Hamilton was a mixed bag. So consistency ni tu doing it. Tunaifanya tu tena na tena mpaka tupate the best mix. Might take a bit of time or might be instant, but I think the team is iko sawa. Ni tu sisi sasa kuwa consistent with the performance.
Okay. And lastly, tuki-transition sasa to now hii biashara yenye unafanya. Unaweza speak now about nini? Hii brand yako ilianzaje? Wasee pia wanaweza get nini? How can also people, let's say, tuanzishie tu hiyo process yako ya kubuild brand yako.
Brand yangu ilianza 2014, but before then I'd done a few easy branding and merchandising nilikuwa nafanya for a while. Even when I was back in Kisumu, I did a few t-shirts for our tournament, which was Dala Sevens. As in nilikuwa tu hiyo mtu wa nilikuwa nikipenda fashion and the fashion industry for a while, following and doing stuff. So I had this goal, I had this passion from way back ya ku engage the fashion industry and come up with my brand and try and make sporty apparel, smart casual apparel, and growing towards like a whole growing it to be a whole fashion brand. So but now in 2014 I'd been doing other branding for different people, but in 2014 ndo nilianzisha sasa Outlook as a brand itself. The name is just hivyo tu vile iko. It's kind of a cliche, but huwa tu ni, it means like how you dress up every time you step out. Hiyo tu ndio ilikuwa the thinking behind it. It's usually kind of a cliche, but I thought it was a good cliche in a stand out vile iko hivyo. So in 2014, that's when I registered it as a business. Then ndo nikafanya like my first few products. And in between nimejaribu kuigroisha, but you see I was still in school at the same time, and I was still chasing my rugby dream at the same time. So imekuwa na slow growth. It had like initial slow growth, though it was steadily growing it's always been steadily growing throughout the years. But depending on the energy I gave it at a particular time, ndio ilikuwa na determine how the growth curve ilikuwa inapanda. And since then, it's 6 years since 2014. Imekuwa na growth poa sana. So hizi it's actually a registered company, fully registered company with broader objectives. Kama saizi we have the Outlook brand, which deals with the Outlook branded clothing, which is smart, casual, sporty, trendy. Saizi tumeingia kwa official wear, tumeingia kwa ladies wear and all that stuff, which is like the main thing, the main thing in the whole company, the whole brand. But now we've also diverted to other areas of branding and merchandising. So tunafanya mpaka corporate branding for different corporates. So whatever contract we have with the corporate to make their apparel or to make their stuff, we are doing that for them, from corporate shirts to sweaters to hoodies to all the corporate outfits. Then we also do merchandising, kama now stuff like branding, corporate merchandise, pens, books, doing banners, doing flyers. We're doing all that stuff easy for the corporate, and even just events. We even do branding for events. As in, it's a whole big company. Yeah, branding, corporate branding, merchandising, and apparels. But Outlook itself as a brand, like I'd say it was a flag bearer for the whole thing.
Okay.
And iko tu, so far we just an online shop operating on an online platform. We just have a workshop in town, yeah, production. So all the orders and stuff are through the online sites zenye ni Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're working on the website, which should be up soon. But all the orders can always be put through the socials. We do customized clothing for watu. So whatever you pick from our page, we customize it to your size and to the color, and even we have different designs, so different print designs for our clothes. So you get to pick whatever you want. Inakuwa customized to kenye wewe unataka. That's how cool the thing is. Unaweza chukua itisho but usema uitaki na hiyo branding yenye iko kifua, you want a different one, na hiyo ndo tunakuwekea, and even make it to your fit, because tunafanya everything on order and it's from scratch. Tunajishonea everything, there's nothing off the shelf. Kila kitu yenye unaona hapo tunashona from scratch before we sell it.
So let's say for if guys want to, let's say kununua your apparel, wapi sana anaenda cheki?
Vile nimesema, it's an online shop, so kwa hizo social media sites zetu on Instagram, like the one you're displaying is from that's Facebook. Facebook, kuna Instagram na kuna Twitter. So when you click on any of our pages, kama Facebook ndio ni the Outlook, kuna Instagram pia ni the Outlook, but hizo socials ziko na underscore, and on Twitter is on the Outlook brand. When you click on when you go and mention or in boxes about inquire about any of the items, utapata instant response, because kuna mtu ana handle the socials. So when you inquire about a cloth, utapata instant response yenye mtu atakuengage on whatever item you want to buy, then atakupatia the specifics of the item, and wewe ndo utampatia the specifics of the size you want, the color you want, and how you want it printed. Then they just give you the breakdown on how the pricing works, and the production time ya hiyo item unataka. Then the production will just start after the engagement with once you've contacted any of our social sites. Utapata tu response ya every single thing.
Okay. Na hii umeguzia pia stories za branding for company. So let's say if a company, what umesema, apart from what type of branding do you apart from pens, you mentioned, hizo ni gani una services gani unaoffer for companies, and also how do also companies get in touch with you?
Mostly most of my clientele have come through friends who have gone ahead and referred me to friends. Then you see, referrals are very key in this kind of business, because you see, online business ina work na trust. So if you don't know me as a buyer or someone mwenye nisha interact now before, you'd only judge me or gauge me with either the reviews that you umesikia about the company or the brand, ama a referral from a friend. So once you contact us on the same and engage us on what you want, corporate branding, ideally, when someone is anything unataka kuwa branded, anything. So if it's pens, if it's books, if it's diaries, if it's the shirts, the sweaters, whatever unataka, we'll engage you on that. Then once we engage on all the information that you need, come out, change contacts and stuff, we get to maybe get your logo and get your, kama ni kitu inahitaji fitting and stuff, we'll always send if it's cloth, that is tatuma tailor to come and get the measurements. If you need a sample, we'll make the sample. We'll first make the sample, avail it to you for your uiangalie kwanza. Then if it's a go ahead in the production, utapatiana go ahead in production. If it's vitu kama flyers na nini kama nini, and flyers and banners na either marketing, you'd either do the digital work once, that you come up with the design and design it and then send it to us for production, or you can engage us to do the design for you, and then to do the design, the whole design and the production for you. But before we do the final product, we always either send a sample, or we engage in how you can get to see a sample before the production starts.
Okay. And sasa going into the future, what's the vision for Ojee in terms of sports and business? And then pia hizo mbili kwanza.
Ideally, sports ni, my goal was actually to make it to the Olympics, and always kabado nitacheza, nataka ku qualify for a Rugby World Cup. So the good thing is both these things are coming in the next year. It's unfortunate that this year we may lose due to Corona, but I think as a player, bado niko na time ya kucheza. I'll still play to the best of my abilities, hopefully for a few more years. And with that, definitely nataka ku represent Kenya in the highest places inaweza fika now. In the near future, it's definitely the Olympics, then there's the World Cup or the Commonwealth in the 7th, then there's the World Cup in the 15th if we manage to qualify. So hizo ni targets bado niko nazo, and I'll try as hard as I can, or as hard as possible to achieve hizo goals. So hiyo definitely itakuwa for rugby wise. Then as an entrepreneur, I still want to grow my brand. It's had immense growth in the last 6 years. During this COVID period, it's had like the biggest growth tangu ianze, because now it's like my main focus. Nilishamaliza shule, so sina hiyo in the nini. Then given that there's not been much going on in the line of rugby, I've been able to concentrate more on the business side. So it's had like immense growth, and hopefully that will keep on going. My biggest my goal with Outlook is, I've always wanted to make it be one of the biggest local brands in terms of fashion. It might not be now, it might not be in the next 2 or 3 years, but hiyo ndo target yangu. Locally, there's very few outlets, fashion outlets owned by the local people. If you see, utapata Mr. Price, you see Cotton On or Woolworth and stuff, but there's rarely a Kenyan brand with such kind of reach in the market. So personally, that's my goal. It might be a few years to come, but that's the path that I'm looking towards. So I'll still just growing with step by step, going through, and hopefully someday it will come into fruition.
Okay. And lastly, inspire the young players coming up in terms of umekuwa na career endless, hata tujaongelea but utawainspire pia waze kuachieve what you've achieved with the sport, or even more?
Kwanza, hopefully have played the game. I hope have played the game. Ama how I keep playing the game and inspire how I do it, hopefully, because I always try to maybe play the game in the right way, trying to impact the lives of what nimecheza nayo. If it's a young guy, I try and impact either knowledge or skill or something in their lives kama nimecheza na wao. But I'd say whatever goal they have, kama ni a young player, because you see them coming through every single day nowadays, and they're very good. That's the one thing I keep saying. The current crop of young players coming through the system is just immense talent, and even if it's not talent, it's immense hard work, because on Iweka, they've seen the growth, they've seen the teams doing so well, so they look up to us, and they're really striving to be better players in the future. So what I tell them is they should just keep at it, and the setbacks will always be there. Hizo zimekuwa mob, hata mimi sijaongelea zangu leo, but we always pick the best parts from all these setbacks. You always pick the positive parts and continue striving. So as long as you're disciplined and you're putting in the hard work and you're determined to reach your goals, then that's the only thing that you can do. All the other factors will just evolve, they'll just revolve around the things that you have control over. So if you're putting in the work and you're determined and you're focused towards your goal, that's the only thing you have control over. So hiyo tu ndo part naweza ambia wachukue, and whether setbacks zinakam ama kutakuwa na boost pia positive parts of it, remain humble through the journey na watafika tu hapo, because wengi wao wamefika. Most of them are just almost there or there, yeah, washafika, just that hawajapata hiyo chance yet. So when they get it, I'm sure they'll take it and run with it.
Okay. Take it and run with it.
Yeah.
Okay, sawa. Thank you Ojee for your time. Nimeshukuru, inspire watu wengi. And
Nashukuru pia mimi.
bado tuna hope ushinde more cup,
Definitely.
At
Corona
least
ishe tushinde.
Ishe tushinde at least hata uko ya 7 tubebe sasa.
Itabidi. Wacha tuombe hiyo ndo challenge yetu next.
Yeah, and pia success in business. Pia I hope pia clients unaweza share just lastly your number in case kuna msana ataka.
Yeah, unaweza share. Juu hata kwa hizo social pages zangu zote za Outlook, the number is still there, so you can just share.
Unaweza sema tu ndio msaki akikaa nasikia anaweza kupigia.
Of 0740 231 875.
Okay, so stories za branding, show, corporate, what wako.
Yes, wani reach too.
Okay.
Niko sure kama sitakuwa able kuwasaidia personally, I'll definitely refer them to a better person mwenye anaweza wasaidia with whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cheers and thanks for your time.
Asante sana.
Wabe.